Border Czar Tom Homan from Washington, inside the White House, I assume, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us and the ability to talk through this. Explain to me the facts as you know them with what happened at the farm in the town of Hounsfield near Sackets Harbor.
Okay, just first, so people in the North Country understand. As a border czar, I got a lot of responsibilities. And ICE and CBP make thousands of arrests every week. So I'm not, I'm not, I don't have the details of every single arrest. I'm busy dealing with national strategic plans, but I made aware of this case by Scott Gray, local representative up there, who's actually a childhood friend. He let me know there's an issue up there, and he gave me what he knew. So I also took a call from Governor Hochul, and I'll tell her what I'm telling you now is that, well, as soon as I heard about it, I requested information from the United States Border Patrol, Wellesley Island. I requested information from Immigration Customs Enforcement, who was part of the investigation. So here's what we have. Now, I can't share a lot of information on a criminal investigation because it is a criminal investigation. But here's what people need to know. A criminal search warrant was served on that farm for the regarding a sexual predator investigation, a child porn investigation. So the warrant was served. Here's what people need to understand, because I've read a lot of people, well, we didn't have a search warrant to go to the other house where the family was. That's completely false. The way a child porn search warrant is based on electronics and the signals of electronics and how that child porn was transferred. It talks about an area in the curtilage. So the subject house was searched, and the house where the families were there. That was within the search warrant because it's within the curtilage of the search warrant. So the information wasn't a search warrant. The family was. It's just patently false. Officers went in there under the guise of the curtilage of the search warrant. So they went in there properly. It was lawful entry, and they found people in the country illegally. And I understand it was a mother and some children. Here's what people need to understand. During an investigation like that, we have to ensure that any children within that area are safe. There's a process during these investigations where could that family be a material witness in this horrendous crime? Can they provide information and evidence in this crime? Were they victimized within this crime? So the due diligence was done. First of all, the family is not in a jail. They're in a family residential center. It's an open air campus. So the investigators are doing their due diligence. The victim witness specialists are reviewing the safety and security of the children. Medical evaluations, is usually part of the investigation. So the investigation continues. It's a criminal investigation. After we have all this stuff to put together, the safety and security of the children, can they provide witness testimony? Were they safe? All these things that the due diligence to protect children is being done. Once that's done, then the ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, will make a decision what's the best course of action in the future. Is it release? So we're working through that. So a decision should be made real soon. I'm being told the material witness interviews should be done the next day or two. Then the decision will be made. But people need to understand, number one, no one raided a school. No one pointed guns at children. And this is a part of criminal investigation. It's unfortunate sometimes when you serve a warrant on a criminal investigation that, there's other people in the vicinity that have to be detained for questioning and safety reasons, but it's part of the job. This was not, it wasn't a raid. It was a search warrant execution in a house where a family was found and who entered the country illegally. They're under docket control. So ICE is doing everything by the book. Border Patrol did everything by the book. And once the investigation gets to the place where we no longer have an interest in this family, then the decision will be made on release. But the men and women of ICE, men and women of Border Patrol are doing a fantastic job. They're following the rules of evidence by the letter of law. And that is what I've learned from my interviews with Border Patrol and people involved with the criminal investigation, the case agent.
With the family, it's been said that they were working, the mother and the children, working their way through the system, through the immigration hearings, and doing what's appropriate there. Do you know if that's true? And does that change anything in the way that the case is handled for releasing them, if that's going to be the case or not? But if they were working the way, some will say they were doing what they were supposed to do, and yet they were taken away. You're saying it's part of the criminal investigation right now. Does that bode well for them if they were working their way through the immigration system?
Well, I can't, for privacy reasons and legal reasons, I can't tell you what their current immigration status is, but I can tell you if they're in the process, it certainly weighs toward the benefit. If they've been following the rules and stuff, absolutely, it would help in release determination. I wish I could share more on you, but because of privacy laws, I can't. But I can tell you all consideration will be given, and it's based on immigration status, any criminal status, and again, necessity for witness statements, and of course, the victim's assessment. So, again, this is hometown. I wasn't, again, I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know it did happen until I was later notified. I can't keep track of every operation, but I did, at the request of Scott Gray and Hope when they contacted me, I did drill down on this operation. And I think people feel comfortable that they're doing the right thing by arresting this predator and also make sure this family is safe.
It's sort of described to us as a collateral arrest. Although what you're saying is maybe it's not that they're arrested, that they're being protected, I think, in the way that you describe it, or at least being kept as potential witnesses for an investigation. That's the way that you're describing it, not an arrest.
Right. When we do an investigation like this, we look for material witnesses that can support the allegation. They live very close to this predator, right? A child predator. They're children. So we need to make sure that, that number one, were the children victimized, because there's certain things, victims of this type of crime can actually get an immigration benefit, first of all. So, we're doing our due diligence, not only following through on the victimization, if any, there may not be any, but we need to make sure, and make sure we follow the steps on victims and their capability of getting an immigration status because of that victimization. And because we're going to make sure we have material witnesses to help this guy away, so he can't, do what he's been doing against children. So that is the number one focus: investigation, safety of the children. Now, the collateral arrests happen. I wouldn't accept you call it partly collateral arrest because they were found in the execution of a search warrant for a criminal target. They were not the subjects. They're not the criminal targets, but they were found in the execution of that warrant. So yeah, you can use the term collateral, but because of the type of case it was, because of what the case agent has found during the course of this investigation, it's imperative that we follow up with this family.
Is arrest the right word? Or was the family arrested, detained? What is the right way to describe it?
They're taken into custody again. They don't. I can't tell you about the legal status immigration wise because of privacy concerns, but I can tell you that Border Patrol and ICE did everything by the numbers.
And so one of my questions was, looking at everything and reviewing it to the extent right now, I was going to ask you if any mistakes were made, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like what happened up here has your confidence.
Well, as far as the information I received on the Border Patrol and ICE, it does. Again, once the determination has been made on the investigation in the victim panel, then I'll look at the review of that and make sure everything's done by the numbers on the end of this too. So again, since it's a criminal investigation, I wish I could share more with you, but I can't. But right now, I feel comfortable that things are being done correctly, and that this family is being cared for.
And I think the public will understand that you can't talk about everything, but I think that the appreciation is there as well to take the interview and to listen to what you have to say in this. You spoke with the governor, you said, and did you see the governor's statement out of the incident? Have you been read what she said?
I have not.
So it says from the governor, she cannot think of any public safety justification for ICE agents to rip an innocent family, including a child in third grade, from their Sackets Harbor home. That is not the immigration enforcement promise to the American people. It's just plain cruel. I want the family returned to New York State and believe ICE needs to immediately answer for these actions. Any response to that?
Well, she's making a statement without having the knowledge I have. So that's kind of sad. That's kind of unfortunate. She did call me. We had a rather pleasant conversation. So then she goes and said something like that. I mean, I told her that I was looking into it and I'd get back to her. And again, I'm not aware of every arrest made in this country, but it's unfortunate because if she knew what I knew right now, and I've had a chance to get back to her, I'm talking to you first because I've been slammed with a lot of things, but it's unfortunate because this is a part of criminal investigation where children may have been victimized. So give the law enforcement officers their chance to do their job and do their due diligence. At the end of the day, we're going to put a bad guy away. And again, it's unfortunate when law enforcement comes across this every day when they serve a warrant. There will be other people arrested in the vicinity, people under immigration control, first of all, and to do their thorough investigation, living feet away from the bad guy. What do they know that can help in the investigation and make sure these children were safe? So they're with their mother, they're being cared for, and we'll go from there.
Part of that statement and what others have said is that they want the family returned. A lot of people are upset about this. They're passionate about this. They want the family that was what they say going through the process and going through the channels in the right way. They want them returned. Could they be returned if after, from what I'm listening to you and as the investigation gets over with, that they were going through the process the right way? The fact that the family could return is a true possibility, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's a decision made by the Immigration Customs Enforcement. There's a process they go through, both for victims and witnesses and immigration enforcement actions. So after the investigator's done, after we do all the victim review, then the decision be made on conditions of release. And we'll wait and see how the facts play out, but that'll be a decision made by us.
And so if they were going through the system and they didn't commit any crimes, then possibly the return could happen, is what you're saying. But it's up to ICE. Okay. All right.
Yes.
The rally that's coming up on Saturday, have you been made aware of that?
Yeah, I was just made aware of that.
So the rally is going to be in Sackets Harbor. What's your reaction to that? They too say if the family is coming back that the rally would be canceled, but it doesn't sound like that would be made, a decision be made by Saturday. What is your reaction to that happening in Sackets and bringing attention to the village and the fact that you live there and putting all of that out there?
Well, look, they certainly have their First Amendment rights, and they can rally and protest all they want, but I'm not going to be bullied. And I'm not going to be intimidated. We're going to do our job. So practice your First Amendment rights and continue doing what you're doing. I mean, they got the right to protest, and I follow laws in this country, and we're going to continue doing the good work. But what people need to understand is that, I don't do Facebook, and I heard a lot of things. A lot of people turn this political. I see, Democrat versus Republican. You need to understand that what we're trying to do right now, we got 500,000 children that were smuggled in this country, separated from their parents, put in the hands of criminal cartels and smuggled in this country. The Biden administration can't find 300,000 of them because they released them to unvetted sponsors. One of the top 3 priorities of the Trump administration is to find these children and save these children. So safety and security of children are important to us. If you look at what ICE is actually doing, people want to attack ICE and Border Patrol because I read some things, these mask invaders and all this. It's the men and women at ICE. If you look at the numbers, the vast majority of everybody ICE arrests, I just look at numbers, that's like 38,000. Are convicted criminals. We're prioritizing our efforts on, public safety threats and national security threats. Well, arresting a child predator, child porn producer, is a significant threat to the children in this country. So, sticking with the president's priorities, we're executing that mission, concentrating on public safety threats, saving children. That's an overarching policy of this administration. You can attack me all you want. I get attacked a lot. I'm fine with that. but I won't be bullied, and I won't be intimidated and not doing my job. We're going to do our job. We're going to save children across this country. And when sad things like this happen, where a child may have been victimized, we're going to take every precaution we can to enforce law and make sure children are safe. So as far as Sackets Harbor, I grew up, as you know, in West Carthage, not too far from your family. I love the North Country. I want to retire in the North Country. It's unfortunate that this it brings undue necessary attention to a small town that I love, small town that I'd like to retire in. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this happened. It's unfortunate that the the arguments and the tension and the visceral going around is affecting a small town, which I think is a small town Americana. Just it's unfortunate. It's just I wish people would find out the facts before they make judgment. And I'm trying to share as many facts as I can with you today, and hopefully people are listening and not, automatically going to the hate, going to the attacks on the administration, attacking my home. I mean, find out the facts. I'm a North Country boy, and I'll always make sure that we do the right things, not only in the North Country, but all across this country.
When you and I have talked before here at the TV station, you've mentioned that ICE and Border Patrol in this administration would be going after the bad guys, the criminals, the illegal immigrants or aliens that are in this country illegally, and if they're doing things that are criminal. And it sounds like this situation in Sackets Harbor, near Sackets Harbor, is really a bullseye, not only for that, but also what the Trump administration priorities are, as you just described. So it's what you exactly described before. This is what the priority is, and it just happened to be in Sackets Harbor.
Yeah, and and again, this what's going on in Sackets Harbor goes on throughout the country every day. But we don't have a lot of cases where families are pulled in for this type of thing. I mean, one's too many, but there are a lot of cases like this. But it's not like across the country every day. It's just it's unfortunate that children have to be exposed to this type of sick behavior by pedophiles, right? But Border Patrol did their job. ICE is doing their job. And in the end, I think people will be satisfied with the way this was done.
Let's talk about the dairy farmer here for a moment, because this kind of, I think, has scared maybe some people or questioned. And you and I have spoken about how you believe there is a program in which some folks that are trying to become citizens, immigrants that are here, can find a way to work on farms and provide that workforce. There's a way for that. What is your message? Does that remain true? I mean, some people, and we haven't used the word raid. We didn't call this a raid, but some others will say that they raided this farm. Do dairy farmers have to, and I asked you this before a few months ago when you first got the border czar position, farmers have to worry about raids by ICE on farms?
Look, the question of that is the question back to you. How many farms have been raided in upstate New York? How many? We entered one farm to serve a criminal warrant against a bad guy. So we set a prioritization on criminal safety threats, as I said, public safety threats and national security threats. We haven't, as far as I know, again, there's a lot going on. I got a big job, but as far as I know, we've never entered one farm to do worksite enforcement. One farm at all. So I say our actions speak just as loud as our words do. We're prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats. If you're a farmer, I would suggest you make sure your workforce is legal. Make sure you're not hiring a sexual predator. And so again, I don't think you can point to a single instance where we've done a worksite enforcement operation on the farm. We served a criminal arrest warrant for a bad guy.
For the record, there may be a Lisbon farm or a St. Lawrence County farm that may have had a visit. I don't know the results of it, but just put that out there. I don't want people to think, well, there's this and not address it. So.
Again, I'm not aware of that. I'm
sure
they're going to go arrest a criminal, but I'm not aware of that. Again, but I think we're basing worksite enforcement operations based on high profile, whether it's people are working at a water filtration plant, where they're working at, they're working at an airport. And again, that's all. If we get a lead on a criminal warrant that someone's in the forced labor, someone is being forced to work and not being paid. I mean, we also, and one thing about worksite enforcement, and we're going to increase worksite enforcement because worksite enforcement is where we find victims of trafficking. People that are forced into trafficking, working unbelievable hours to pay off their smuggling fees, which will never be paid off. So worksite enforcement leads us to a lot of victims of trafficking. So that's why we're firing that up, because the president promised we're going to save these children. Some of these children we're looking for, the 300,000, we already found some in forced labor, working on chicken ranches, working in meat packing plants, cleaning up entrails, and the midnight shift. So these children need to be rescued. So worksite enforcement's coming back, but again, in a prioritized manner.
Mm-hmm. So what's your message to the dairy farmer?
God bless you. Dairy farmers are important to this country, and without them, we'd be in trouble. So I grew up around dairy farms, as you know. I didn't live on a dairy farm, but dairy farmers are Americana. I mean, I appreciate their work. I appreciate their dedication to what they do.
And in terms of the workforce?
They're not a prioritization of worksite enforcement operations. We'll only enter a dairy farm at this time if there's a criminal. There's a criminal target, but the prioritization is clear. Public safety threats, national security threats, and finding these children.
Any of the other rumors that we didn't address that you wanted to talk about? Anything I didn't ask?
No, the information I'm trying to dispel is just stuff that gets to me. I don't do Facebook. And again, I haven't been up there. I don't get up there very much. I have a lake house there, but my family goes up a lot. So again, they can practice their First Amendment rights, and we'll deal with it. I deal with hate every day, and but if people wore my shoes in 34 years and seen the tragedies I've seen, people need to understand: illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And let's remember, if you enter the country illegally, it's a crime. There are millions of people standing in line wanting to be a part of the greatest nation on earth, that are taking their tests, doing their background investigations, coming to the United States the legal way. And when people enter the country illegally, they're cheating the system. The millions of people are staying in line trying to do it the right way. So illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. Women and children get sexually assaulted making that trip. Women and children die almost every day crossing our border. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. So for people to say, somebody's just here illegally, that's not okay. Because we know what happens. And the message we send to the whole world is you can enter this country legally, just don't commit a crime, you're okay. That's the message you want to send to the whole world. Women and children continue to make that journey. Women and children continue to be sexually assaulted by the cartel members. 31% of women that make that journey get sexually assaulted. That's been done by nonpartisan studies. If that's the message we send the whole world, we're never going to fix the border if we send a message that you can enter the country legally, which is a crime, just don't commit another crime and you're okay. That's not the message we got to send the whole world. There's a right way and wrong way to come to the greatest nation on earth. I want people to do it the right way.
Border Czar Tom Homan, thank you. Appreciate the conversation.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.